In a battle-ridden land, a man takes a puff from his cigarette, realizing there's no way they can win. An onslaught erupts as dragons lay waste to the surroundings, reducing buildings to rubble and sending panicked people scrambling for safety. Amid the chaos, Dragonia's military empire stands tall, its invincible dragon riders returning to a hero's welcome after successfully invading yet another nation. Crowds gathered to celebrate them, cheering and praising their might. In contrast, a man works quietly in the dragon breeding grounds, cleaning the area while muttering about how much attention the dragon riders receive. He watches the celebration from a distance, envy and resignation flickering in his eyes. Later, his superior calls him in and delivers unexpected news. He is being fired. The man freezes in shock. His superior explains that the empire is moving towards disarmament. Dragonia has already conquered the neighboring nations through swift and overwhelming power, leaving only insignificant countries that aren't worth attacking. With no need for further troops, roles like his, responsible for clearing clutter in breeding grounds, are no longer necessary. Though the news stings, the man admits to himself that he saw this coming. The number of dragon trainers has been dwindling for some time. It's grueling work, often thankless, and the worst part is the stench that clings to them. All those dismissed before him leave with a sense of relief, their faces lighter as if freed from a heavy burden. When his turn comes, he hesitates. He raises his concerns to his superior, explaining the complexities of dragon care. Dragons are not simple creatures. They each have unique personalities, require carefully managed shelters, precise feeding schedules, and regular medical attention. He is the only dragon trainer left, the last person ensuring these tasks are done properly. His superior shows no patience, brushing aside his concerns with growing frustration. The costs of maintaining dragons are too high, they argue, and even with the best care, dragons still die. Reducing their numbers seems to be a simple solution. The trainer feels a sinking weight in his chest. If losing his position means the dragons might somehow survive, perhaps stepping aside is all he can offer them. With quiet resolve, he offers his detailed records as a final contribution. The books contain everything: feeding routines, behavioral observations, medical notes, everything necessary to care for the dragons in his absence. He places them before his superior, hoping they will be of use. The response is scornful. The books are knocked from his hands, falling to the ground before being stomped on with disdain. His years of dedication, the knowledge painstakingly recorded, are treated as worthless. For 20 years, he has worked as a dragon trainer. He has been yelled at countless times, yet they always entrusted him with his duties. He had once believed this was their way of showing appreciation, but it never was. After all, the work he did could have been done by anyone. Now the man grips the chair his superior was sitting on with one hand, effortlessly lifting it as he retrieves his book from the ground. Claiming it is important to him, he takes his leave without looking back. Later, he is of the first dragon shelter, packing his luggage. 2 dragon riders approach, mocking him. They taunt him, claiming his firing proves he has no real skills and that his job would be easy for anyone to take over. One of them, to prove his point, kicks one of the dragons. When the dragon doesn't react, he kicks it again, harder this time, continuing until the dragon snaps and lunges at them. The riders, pale with fear, flee in panic. The man watches silently, giving the dragon a friendly pat on its side. He understands the creature acted out of loyalty, defending him against the insults. With a faint smile, he bids farewell to the dragons in the shelter, stroking their heads one last time before making his way to the oldest dragon shelter. Inside, a massive, menacing dragon lies chained, her body coiled with heavy iron restraints. This is Barbarossa, Dragonia's oldest and most revered dragon, once the steed of the heroic king who founded the empire. Though retired, she is still respected as the leader of all dragons. The man calls out to her, using her name softly, bidding her a heartfelt farewell. He tries to leave quickly before his emotions overwhelm him. But Barbarossa suddenly roars, her cry echoing through the shelter with a ferocity that shakes the ground. The chains binding her snap one by one as she rises to her full height. Without hesitation, she grabs the man gently in her claws and bursts through the walls of her shelter. Her thunderous roar calls out to the other dragons, who respond with cries of their own. They break free from their enclosures, creating a wild stampede as they follow their leader. The man, now in Barbarossa's grip, realizes what is happening. The dragons are fleeing with him. For the first time, he feels truly valued, not by people, but by the creatures he has spent his life caring for. As Barbarossa charges, with a legion of dragons following, he lets himself relax. The tension leaves his body, and he drifts into sleep, leaving the dragons to take control of their destiny. When he wakes up, he finds himself lying atop Barbarossa, who is also asleep, her massive body curled protectively around him. The chill in the air tells him they are somewhere in the north, a region known for its colder climate. He wonders why Barbarossa chose this place, knowing dragons struggle in such conditions. Then it dawns on him, they must have thought he was fleeing the Empire and chose to bring him as far away as possible. As he surveys the area, concern grips him. The dragons, numbering in the dozens, require immense amounts of food and water to sustain themselves. Every day, they consume several kilograms of grass and drink vast quantities of water. This forest, while abundant now, will quickly turn into a wasteland under the strain of their needs. His attention is drawn to a deep pit in the ground. The sight makes his stomach tighten. It is a grand python's nest. The grand python is a massive, venomous monster capable of swallowing a baby dragon whole. Even a fully grown dragon would need to fight with all its strength to fend it off. Knowing the danger, he warns the dragons to steer clear of the pit, their safety his top priority. He watches as the dragons respond, moving away from the area with caution. As he surveys the area, a sudden commotion catches his attention. A flying dragon swoops down, grappling with a grand python in midair. The dragon successfully dislodges the massive serpent, letting it fall to the ground below. But before he can process what he's witnessing, the flying dragon, now rider mounted, charges toward him aggressively. He barely dodges the attack, confusion overtaking him. Why are they attacking him? The dragon rider accuses him of trespassing, recognizing him as part of Dragania's dragon corps. It dawns on him, he has unwittingly brought 100 dragons into foreign territory, violating its borders. He tries to explain his situation, but the rider doesn't relent, pressing the attack. He has no choice but to defend himself. Calling out to Barbarossa, he uses a hand signal to set up a feint, coordinating a swift counterattack. The maneuver works, and they manage to unseat the rider. As the rider falls, the man quickly catches them, preventing a fatal landing. His attention shifts to the dragon, now grounded and visibly weakened. He notices the telltale marks of a grand python's venomous bite. Realizing the urgency, he retrieves the rider's weapon and carefully extracts the poison from the wound, using his experience to ensure the process is effective. As he works, he chastises the rider for reckless actions, warning them that nature holds dangers even a dragon can't overcome through sheer might. As he finishes tending to the dragon, he moves to return the weapon, but then it strikes him. The rider had been trying to kill him just moments ago. His suspicions flare, but before he can act, the rider removes their helmet. He is stunned to discover that the rider is a woman. She calmly acknowledges her defeat, stating that she has no intention of attacking him further. Instead, she thanks him for saving her dragon and introduces herself as Fianna Shin Levitin, the first princess of the northern country, Levitin. Breed is utterly dumbfounded by Fianna's recklessness, astonished that she dared to hunt a grand python, one of the most dangerous creatures, entirely on her own. Her audacity borders on lunacy, and he can't hold back his shock. Fianna, however, remains unfazed and proposes an outrageous deal. Since she was defeated by him, he can take her to Dragania as his prisoner, but only after he helps save her people. In exchange, she offers herself, claiming he can do anything he wants with her. Breed is quick to clarify his situation, explaining that he isn't a representative of Dragania anymore. He reveals how he was banished and fired from his role as a dragon trainer and how the dragons followed him on their own accord. Fianna listens intently, then asks for his name. He introduces himself as Breed, only to be met with her firm reprimand. She urges him to stop belittling himself, pointing out that there are few as skilled as he is. Her genuine respect for his abilities leaves him momentarily speechless. Fianna begins to speak about her country. She describes it as fragile and on the verge of collapse, constantly under threat of perishing. Despite her tireless efforts to train and strategize, she admits the odds are stacked against her. Training flying dragon riders takes years, monster hunting has its limits, and time is not on their side. With desperation and resolve in her voice, she asks Breed to come to her country with the dragons. She believes his unique skills and their dragons could turn the tide for her people. Breed hesitates, worried about the immense cost of caring for 100 dragons. He mentions their overwhelming dietary needs and the strong smell that clings to anyone around them. Fianna surprises him again, brushing off his concerns. She even leans in and takes in his scent, boldly declaring that she doesn't mind at all. Her determination is unwavering as she assures him that she will provide the necessary resources and facilities, emphasizing that her country needs both him and the dragons to survive. Her words hit Breed deeply. The way she values him, recognizing his worth, is a stark contrast to the way he was treated in Dragania. For the first time in years, he feels appreciated for his talents and the bond he shares with the dragons. Emotions swell within him as he glances at the dragons, who have stayed loyal to him despite everything. With newfound resolve, he turns to Fiona and pledges his loyalty. He promises to serve her and her country with all his heart, determined to help her protect her people and rebuild her nation. The dragon finally appears from the bush, its roar loud enough that even people some distance away can hear it. It looks like a giant beast with only two people on top, Fiona and him. As soon as the houses start to appear after passing through many bushes, Fiona, an expert of the area, tells him that they are home, heading toward it. He is surprised to see such a beautiful and well-established structure, appreciating the architectural design of the houses. The place is peaceful, with no noise, just a comfortable living environment. As Fiona confirms that they have arrived, he is glad to finally see the popular place called Leviton. As she is about to bring the dragon to a stop, she notices him staring at the houses, stunned by their beauty. The dragon slows down, looking for a place to land. Seeing his reaction, she asks if the place is too small. He doesn't answer, and she tells him not to worry about it, reassuring him to take another good look. As they approach further, she explains why the castle walls have been broken, which caused them to use a makeshift bridge. She continues, pointing out that there are no men in sight. All the men perished in the war, trying to protect the name of this place. This leaves only the elderly, women, and children as the town's occupants. He is surprised and expresses his condolences for their loss. Then he remembers that she only mentioned a war, but didn't tell him who it was with or what it was about. He asks her, and she explains how Dragania invaded them when she was still a child. She was just lucky to be among the survivors. She shares that her siblings lost their lives on the battlefield, and their deaths plunged the country into complete chaos. As she talks more, her voice rises in tone. She says that ever since she experienced the horrors of war, she made it her priority to protect her country and rule over it, making it her duty until the day she dies. As they are about to descend from the dragon, she notices the other dragons behind the largest one and asks if they are okay, since they are leaving them behind. He reassures her that he has told the dragons they will be back and to stay calm, trusting they will do exactly as he has commanded. She tells him that while they have many dragons, she can call them with a whistle. He tells her it's good enough since she has managed to tame the dragons. As the dragon lowers and the others follow, the sound of it brings the little children running out, shouting with joy that their princess has finally returned. The dragon comes to a stop, and the elders also show their respect for her, all shouting, "Welcome back." She walks toward the children, hugging them tightly. She tells them she has brought many gifts for them today, and all the children jump up in joy, their faces lighting up as they express that they knew she would bring something for them. The elders approach her too, asking who the person behind her might be. He seizes the opportunity to introduce himself, bowing in respect. She then tells them he is a scout and a skilled dragon rider. The villagers look surprised. He watches as they honor her, obey her, and believe whatever she tells them. He thinks to himself that he now believes she is truly a big shot. But some of the elderly are not happy when they hear he is a dragon rider, recalling that the Draganian nation, known for riding dragons, played a major role in the downfall of their country. Fiona immediately reassures them, telling them that Breed is safe and urging them to trust her. She orders them to return to their work. After that, she tells Breed to follow her so she can show him where the dragon stable is. As they walk away from the crowd, Breed is still uneasy about her calling him just a dragon rider, as if he only rides a single dragon. He knows that he has many dragons, and he worries that seeing so many dragons at once could cause an uproar among the citizens. Fiona gently pushes him away from the crowd's eyes. Once they are alone, Breed confesses that it feels like he's not welcome, given the looks he received. Fiona reassures him, telling him not to worry. She is confident they will come around once they see how skilled and impactful he can be. She explains that their country is isolated, so it's rare to see new people. His arrival, especially as a dragon rider, stirs mixed feelings among them. He is new to them, and dragons bring their own memories. Breed admits that maybe he was overthinking things. He realizes that until he proves himself and shows what he can do to help, they won't have a good feeling about him. Fiona, surprised, tells him that she didn't expect someone so skilled with so much war experience to be so concerned about how people perceive him. Since they are alone, Fiona commands Breed to stop using honorifics and speak to her like a friend. She warns him again about her short temper, reminding him to choose his words carefully. However, Breed insists that it will be uncomfortable for him, as he's used to speaking formally. Fiona smiles, promising that before long, he will stop being so formal with her, leaving him surprised by her confidence. When they finally reach the dragon stable, Fiona calls out a name, Minnie, several times, but there is no response. Breed, curious, asks who Minnie is. Fiona explains that Minnie is a hardworking and brilliant dragon master who always works at the stable. She used to follow Fiona around, and now that Fiona is back, she worries because Minnie isn't around. Breed, hearing that Minnie is also a dragon rider, is surprised. He reflects on how the common belief is that most dragon riders are male, but from his own experience, he's noticed that dragons tend to prefer female riders. Fiona interrupts his thoughts, reassuring him that Minnie is likely nearby and that if they wait, she will show up soon. Understanding that Fiona must have other matters to attend to now that she is back in her country, Breed tells her she can go ahead, and he will introduce himself to Minnie. Fiona agrees and, as she is about to leave, looks back and mentions that she only likes men who are dedicated to their work. Breed is taken aback, surprised by her statement. As soon as Fiona is gone, Breed finds himself deep in thought. He knows that the only way he will last long in this place is by winning the people's hearts and creating a good reputation for himself. Without their trust and respect, he understands he has no place here. Looking back at Fiona, now a distance away, he realizes that he has lied to her. He told her that he is good at talking to strangers, but deep down, he knows that's not true. It makes him feel uneasy, especially since he is waiting for another stranger, Minnie. Breed feels grateful that Fiona has helped him when he had nothing else to rely on, providing him with a job. Despite how stubborn she can be, he remembers the time she beat up another woman out of jealousy when she saw him talking to her. He appreciates Fiona's support. As he sits in the stable, his mind races through these thoughts, trying to figure out how to navigate the challenges ahead. Suddenly, a noise behind him interrupts his thoughts. Before he can turn around, he finds himself on the ground with a pair of long legs wrapped around his neck. He immediately recognizes that the legs belong to a woman. With a sinking feeling, he knows it must be Minnie. She shouts at him, demanding to know what he is doing in her stable. Breed can't respond immediately as her leg tightens around his neck, choking him. She accuses him of being a thief. Realizing that he is about to pass out, Breed struggles and finally manages to pry her leg off his neck. Gasping for air, he tells her that he has been employed by Princess Fiona as the Dragon Master. Minnie, however, doesn't seem to care about his explanation. She firmly tells him that she won't allow him in her stable, as she has been in charge of it for a long time and has no intention of letting anyone take over her domain. Finally, Breed and Minnie are standing face to face, the tension between them palpable. Minnie sits on a rope used for taming dragons, while Breed stands across from her. For a few moments, they simply stare at one another in silence before Minnie breaks it. She says she's heard of him. He's famous as the most skilled dragon master. She acknowledges that someone can be skilled in riding and taming dragons, but when he tells Princess Fiona that he can tame 100 dragons at once, that's something she can't believe. She doesn't think he is capable of such a feat and accuses him of lying. To her, his words won't work on her, and she makes it clear that she won't fall for it. As Minnie speaks to him, Breed stands, his head slightly bowed, feeling like a student being lectured by a teacher. He tries to interrupt her, eager to explain what he meant, but she continues, her words flowing nonstop. She insists that he should leave the country, and in that moment, Breed realizes that the people here truly don't like him. Minnie's determination is evident as she closes the door of the stable, effectively chasing him out. Standing outside, Breed mutters to himself, reflecting on how he has been fired. The feeling is all too familiar to him, reminding him of what happened back in Dragania. As he stands there, he can hear Minnie inside, breathing heavily or making noise as she works. Each time he hears her, he wants to offer his help, but she rejects him every time, sending him away until it grows dark. As the evening grows darker, Breed knows the dragons must be heading toward the bushes to rest. He decides to knock on the stable door, hoping to speak with Minnie. At first, she ignores him, but after several knocks, she opens the door, visibly irritated, and demands to know what he wants. Breed tells her that he isn't trying to enter the stable. He just wants to ask if he can use the bush at the back of the stable for his dragon to sleep. Minnie responds dismissively, saying that it's not under her authority and he can do whatever he wishes there, but warns him to never disturb her again. Breed quickly rushes toward the area where he knows the dragons are likely to be, eager to find a place where he can stay close to Minnie, but still be on his own. He hopes to prove her wrong, showing her what he is truly capable of. His steps quicken as he nears the spot where he plans to meet his dragons. He stops in a place where Minnie can still see him, and he begins making signals and whistling, calling his dragons to come to him. From a distance, Minnie watches him, trying to appear as if she isn't interested in what he's doing. But when she realizes he's trying to communicate with the dragons, she can't help but laugh to herself. She thinks that Breed is lying to himself. If he were really controlling the dragons, she reasons, she would feel the earth shake from their powerful steps. She believes Breed is just deceiving himself, continuing to lie about his abilities. Min steps out of the stable to confront Breed, laughing at his attempt to control the dragons. She taunts him from behind, claiming that if he really has 100 dragons coming, they should at least be making some noise. Breed turns to respond, calmly explaining that he instructed the dragons to move quietly since this is a new place. Minnie, still skeptical, doesn't believe him until she sees Barbarossa, a massive dragon, emerge from the shadows. She's taken aback by its size, her fear palpable. Gradually, she starts seeing the other dragons as they gather around Breed. She watches, stunned, as they all interact with him playfully. The sight is enough to make her doubt everything she believed. She's torn between being amazed at the fact that Breed really has tamed 100 dragons, or that he somehow managed to instruct them to move so silently. Though her disbelief starts to fade, Minnie can't fully accept it. She approaches him, grabs his shirt near the chest, and admits that she acknowledges his skill with the dragons. However, she still doesn't trust any dragon master. She suspects that Breed must have put his dragons through extreme conditions to get them to follow his instructions so perfectly. As she grips his shirt tighter, looking into his eyes, she warns him that she will make it her mission to expose him as a fraud, someone pretending to be a dragon master. Breed tries to understand her reasoning, asking why she doesn't trust dragon masters, but she brushes him off, ignoring his question. Instead, she reiterates that for now, he'll stay with them, but she's keeping a close eye on him. She warns him that if he tries anything suspicious, she'll deal with him. Breed, now more worried than ever, begins to realize that his attempt to impress Minnie by showing off his skills with the dragons has only made things worse. Instead of winning her over, he's put himself in deeper trouble. Minnie's skepticism toward dragon masters comes from a deep personal place rooted in her past. Since childhood, she has been fascinated by dragons and dragon masters. She would read about them for hours, captivated by the bond between a dragon and its master, particularly the way they could communicate and share their feelings with one another. This fascination became her dream, to become a dragon master herself. Even when others, including her peers, called her strange or labeled her with odd names, she refused to let their opinions deter her. She was determined to follow her passion, believing that she could form a unique connection with dragons that others couldn't understand. As she grew older, Minnie pursued this dream relentlessly. She devoted herself to studying, reading countless books, and practicing ways to interact with dragons. Every moment was spent honing her skills, aiming to bridge the gap between dragons and humans. Her commitment to this goal helped her overcome the challenges that came with her unconventional beliefs. Despite the obstacles, Minnie eventually became a dragon master, just as she had always wished. But Breed's actions now in front of her challenge everything she's worked toward. What he has done, commanding so many dragons to follow him silently, was unimaginable to her. She had spent years trying to understand dragons, to form meaningful connections with them, and she couldn't fathom how Breed could have trained his dragons to act in such a way. It wasn't just difficult to believe, it felt like a nightmare to her, a violation of everything she stood for and had learned. As she holds onto Breed's shirt, looking into his eyes, Minnie is not thinking about him. Instead, her mind is consumed with concern for the dragons. She believes that for Breed to have gained such control over them, he must have subjected them to extreme, possibly horrifying conditions. Her worry for the dragons outweighs everything else, even her doubts about Breed. She finally acknowledges his skill as a dragon master, but is still hesitant to trust him fully. Breed, hoping that this admission means Minnie is starting to believe him, is still caught in his confusion. Just as he's about to speak, they both hear the distinct sound of a dragon, but not one of Breed's. The noise comes from inside the stable. They turn to see a wounded dragon, one that Breed doesn't own. Minnie immediately lets go of Breed's shirt, her attention now fully on the injured creature. She rushes toward it, calling out its name, Kuzuk. Minnie rushes to the dragon, which is standing at the entrance of the stable, her voice filled with urgency and remorse. She apologizes to the dragon, trying to coax it back into its position in the stable, but the creature seems to fixate on Breed. Despite her words, the dragon continues to stare at him, not yet willing to follow her commands. After a tense moment, the dragon finally obeys her, retreating back into the stable. As the door slowly closes behind them, Minnie looks back at Breed with a fierce expression, her anger palpable. She tells him firmly that she doesn't trust him with her dragons and warns him never to lay a hand on them again. Once the door is closed, Breed feels a wave of relief wash over him, but guilt quickly takes its place. He chastises himself, calling himself weak and lame for letting a younger girl intimidate him so easily. His self-doubt weighs heavily on him as he mutters under his breath, his head low in frustration. Just as he's lost in his thoughts, he hears footsteps behind him. Looking up, he sees Princess Fiona, who has been standing there for some time, observing him. She tells him she's finished her work and came to check on him, but is clearly surprised by what she finds. She comments dryly that she hadn't expected Breed to struggle with someone like Minnie, a young woman who was single and tough, especially not after all his dragon taming skills. Breed, defensive yet honest, replies that while Minnie may be young, she's much more difficult to deal with than any dragon. He also adds that it's not his fault that she doesn't trust dragon masters. Fiona then presses him further, asking if he knows about Minnie's past with dragons. Breed nods, acknowledging that he has met Kusuk, the dragon they were just discussing. Princess Fiona then reveals the backstory that Minnie rarely talks about. She tells Breed that Kusuk was the first dragon Minnie had helped from the time it was just an egg. Minnie had cared for the dragon on her own, growing a deep bond with it. But things took a turn when Minnie fell seriously ill. She was bedridden for a long time, and during her absence, a dragon master was called to care for Kusuk. When Minnie recovered, she went to check on her dragon, expecting it to be well cared for by the dragon master. However, when she arrived, she was horrified to find Kusuk chained up, barely able to move, with its body cramped and restricted. Fiona continues, explaining that Minnie asked the dragon master why the dragon had been treated so harshly. The man revealed that he had beaten Kusuk to force the dragon to obey him. In her panic, Minnie rushed to the stable, only to discover the full extent of the cruelty. The dragon master had not just chained Kusuk in a restrictive way, but had also beaten it, leaving visible whip marks all over the dragon's body. After hearing the cruel treatment Kusuk endured at the hands of the dragon master, Minnie's anger reaches a boiling point. The dragon master has gone beyond merely neglecting the dragon. He has beaten Kusuk to the point of unconsciousness. As he moves closer to Minnie, attempting to hug her in an effort to gain her favor after his supposed help, his intentions quickly turn to something far more repulsive. Minnie, despite being physically weak from her own illness, manages to gather an immense amount of strength. She punches the dragon master square in the cheek, sending him crashing to the ground with a mouthful of blood. The force of her blow echoes her deep emotional turmoil. She kneels before Kusuk, tears streaming down her face as she apologizes repeatedly to the dragon. She laments that had she known the kind of person the dragon master was, she never would have allowed him to take care of Kusuk. She gently touches the dragon's wounds, whispering more apologies, her sobs full of sorrow and guilt. Seeing Minnie in such a vulnerable state, Fiona watches in silence, her heart heavy with sympathy for both Minnie and Kusuk. She has already known the depth of Minnie's pain, but it still moves her to see how deeply the event has affected her. Fiona has been trying to explain Minnie's reluctance to trust dragon masters to Breed, but when she turns to him, she finds him sobbing too. He has been touched by the tragic story of Minnie and Kusuk's bond, and his empathy for both of them is clear. After a few moments of silence, Breed manages to compose himself. With a shaky breath, he expresses his relief, realizing that Minnie doesn't hate him personally, but instead has a deep-seated distrust of all dragon masters. He admits, somewhat sheepishly, that he just thought she dislikes him because of his own shortcomings, joking that it's because he stinks. Fiona, caught off guard, bursts into laughter, shaking her head at his self-deprecating humor. She reassures him that his concerns about his personal hygiene are far from the reason Minnie feels the way she does. Seeing Breed so unexpectedly upbeat, Fiona offers to help by putting in a good word for him with Minnie. However, Breed, not wanting to feel like he's out of options, quickly shoots that suggestion down. He's determined now more than ever to prove himself, knowing the full story behind Minnie's mistrust of dragon masters. He confidently declares that winning her over will be a straightforward task now that he knows what has happened and how much Minnie truly cares for her dragons.